A group of young people sets off on a boat trip to the picturesque artificial Lake Prescott. Diver Jake claims that the submerged town of Russville lies at the bottom of this lake. Due to a drought, the lake has become shallow, giving him the opportunity to explore the place on his own. His sister Finn decides to join him, and the young people dive underwater. After swimming a certain distance, they indeed find the ruins of the town. However, someone grabs Jake's leg, preventing him from resurfacing. Finn manages to come up for air, but when she returns, she sees her brother being pulled into the ruins. Finn ends up in a psychiatric clinic for 4 months, from where her parents, Aaron and Jeffrey, bring her home. Still in a daze, she looks at her brother's sports awards and goes straight to her room. Aaron asks her husband, with whom their relationship has soured after their son's death, to try to stay together so they can cope with the loss. That evening, Finn asks her mother what she placed in Jake's empty coffin. Aaron replies that she made it a time capsule by putting in some items from different periods of his life. Finn becomes upset that she couldn't attend the funeral due to her treatment, which she believes didn't help, as she is still convinced that something pulled her brother into the submerged town. Aaron goes downstairs to her husband, who has replaced family with work, and goes to take a bath. However, when the tub fills with water, a black hand suddenly grabs her, only to disappear just as abruptly, leaving Aaron shocked and sitting on the floor. In the morning, she reads an article about the curse of Lake Prescott when Jeffrey approaches her, saying she was right. The family needs to unite to move forward. He promises not to immerse himself in work as much. That night, Aaron is awakened by the sound of running water. She goes down to the kitchen, where someone has turned the faucet on full blast, and she hears her son's voice calling to her from outside. The water in the pool clearly indicates that someone is there. Jake appears by the pool, pleading with his mother to find him, but disappears in a flash of electricity. Aaron tells her husband about the vision, insisting that these are not nightmares because she was awake both times. She suggests they search for their son, as he was begging her to find him. Jeffrey reminds her that divers have already searched many times, and if she wants to go back to the lake, she should not involve him, as he doesn't want to stir up the painful past. When Jeffrey leaves for work, Finn offers to accompany her mother on the search for Jake, as she overheard her parents' conversation. She is still haunted by nightmares about what happened and can point to the exact spot where Jake disappeared. Aaron and her daughter drive to a vacation home near Lake Prescott, where they once loved to spend time as a family, a place Aaron had promised herself never to return to after what happened to her son. They take a boat to the spot where Jake died, and Aaron, tied with a 2-meter rope, dives to the sunken town. The woman finds traces of the ruins of Russville and sees 3 skeletons chained to a concrete block. She removes a dog tag from one of them and is about to surface when someone grabs her leg. Finally, her dead son Jake appears before her. After surfacing, Aaron calls the police. The sheriff is astonished that she managed to find Jake's body, though they had searched many times before, but the divers never found any skeletons chained to a block. Aaron shows the officer a dog tag with the name Boone, and he recalls the Boone family who worked the land before it was flooded, and mentions that their descendant, Millie Boone, still lives in the area. To this, Aaron replies that she is no longer interested in any of that because she found what she was looking for, her son. Her husband calls, outraged by the sudden departure of his wife and daughter. However, after learning about Jake's body, which will soon be brought home, he apologizes for not supporting Aaron in her search. Finn joins her mother and, recalling the hand underwater, asks if she now believes her. To this, Aaron, looking at the recovered dog tag, replies that they still need to figure out how Jake died. Mother and daughter arrive at Millie Boone, who lives in a nursing home, and ask her why so many people die at Lake Prescott. Millie, however, attributes it to the recklessness of drunk teenagers on the water. Finn responds that her brother was sober and an excellent swimmer, but something grabbed his leg. Aaron tells her about the 3 corpses she found at the bottom of the lake and shows Millie the dog tag. Upon seeing the name, Millie immediately assumes it belonged to her great-grandfather, Maynard Boone, one of 3 farmers who stood in the way of the magnate Raid Prescott, who was building the dam. Prescott was making such large profits from the project that he decided not to negotiate with the dissenters, but simply eliminate them. He chained the farmers to a concrete block and left them to die at the site of the future artificial lake. For 90 years, local residents have been filing petitions for the dam's demolition, which they no longer need, but all have been rejected because of the Raid Prescott Foundation and a law firm that protects the structure. At this point, it's not about the dam's necessity, but the fear that once the lake is drained, all of Prescott's crimes will be exposed, tarnishing his name. Upon hearing the name of the law firm, Erin hurriedly decides to leave the Lake Prescott area with her daughter. When Jeffrey finds them packing, she informs him that his firm is somehow blocking the demolition of the dam where their son died. Hearing the story about Raid Prescott, Jeffrey refuses to believe it. When Erin asks him if he's willing to continue turning a blind eye to the possibility that hundreds of innocent people lie at the bottom of the lake, he retorts that she never cared about the affairs of his clients and simply spent the money he earned. He then adds that he owns their house, their cars, and even this town, at which point Finn catches him. Jeffrey is forced to admit that he is a descendant of the Prescott family, and is proud of it because, according to him, Raid Prescott saved this area from ruin and turned it into a tourist hub. Erin speculates that it is because of this family connection that the vengeful dead of the lake took their son, and Finn suggests that now the dead residents might come for her. However, Jeffrey dismisses all of this as nonsense and suggests they simply leave. At that moment, the power goes out in the house, the phone stops working, and the long-drowned locals, once submerged by Raid Prescott, begin emerging from the lake. The undead break into the house and the family runs outside, but they quickly find themselves surrounded. The dead townsfolk grab Jeffrey and drag him underwater. Left on the shore with her daughter, Erin realizes that her son's death was merely a way for the dead to get to her husband. The visions she had mistaken for Jake's signals were only meant to lure Raid Prescott's descendant to the lake. Finn tells her mother that even if they want to tell anyone about this, no one will believe them. Erin reminds her that due to the drought, the lake is gradually drying up, so sooner or later, all of its horrible secrets will come to the surface. And so ends this eerie yet typical American horror story.